My name's Kurtis Bosley. I'm the owner here at Corretto in DY on Sydney's northern beaches.
Northern beaches.
Oh, okay, I'm good. My name's Kurtis Bosley. Here is... Oh, come good, I promise. Shit. What's the question?
How did
Do I have to say anything?
you do that whole sentence?
I don't know what the whole sentence is. My name's Kurtis Bosley. I'm the owner here at Corretto in DY on Sydney's northern beaches. So originally I opened up Corretto out of pure arrogance, I think. There's a innate understanding of what it takes to own a business. I think if you asked me this question 6 months ago, it would have been a very different story. 6 months ago, I think this confidence, this next step, this next aspect to my role within the hospitality industry, this was it. It was owning a business. I think DY was an opportunity. There was no real place championing drinks and cocktails and service and hospitality. And that's something that we kind of brought to the area. If I knew what it took to open up a venue, would I do it? I would. I love challenges. I love throwing myself into something. I think I had the understanding that I knew I could step up to the challenge, but shit, there was so many things I just had no idea about. And I think if I knew the depth of what you need to know as a business owner and the involvement that it does take, it took a lot to get it to where it is now. Summarising my experience prior to Corretto, so I was the on-premise group operations manager for Public House Management Group. We oversaw several pubs. The key to that role was drinks creation, working close with the bar teams, looking at how we could maximise profit through that bar, activations, relationships with brands. I think it really did set me up with a platform to open up this venue. A big part of that year was winning the Perfect Blend competition. It's something that I look at to springboard myself up into that next challenge, that next thing that I can be doing within the industry. That was the final competition that I really got amongst, that I was lucky enough to win, which was quite cool. That was something, again, that I used as a springboard to meet people within the industry, to grow as a bartender in making drinks and understanding that drinks are so much more than just putting a bunch of stuff in a glass and saying, hey, enjoy this. That as a competition is something you become involved within the industry and those people that are around you, going away with them, spending time with them. It's not just about, hey, I'm standing on stage and making a drink. It's spending a few days doing a few different challenges, meeting people and having that interaction and learning from them. That is still something that I hold quite dearly. Having a venue in DY, we're quite lucky. A lot of people that we are looking after and a lot of guests that we have coming through our doors don't necessarily know what to expect. They have an understanding that we very much champion drinks, that we look after guests more than they might expect. What we feel that we've brought to this space as a group is that innate sense of hospitality, that it's so much more than just putting a product on the table and saying, hey, we hope you like it. When people step through that door, they are a guest within our house, and that's the way we approached everything within these four walls. Previously, I was working very heavily in the eastern suburbs of Sydney. So coming northern beaches, it was a change of pace, but DY as an area is a true sense of local neighbourhood eateries and bars. That community sense is now kind of really building within DY. We are located on a beach here. Through that door is a 500-metre stretch of beautiful beaches that people come to relax. They sit on the grass, they get their food, they drink, they surf, they swim. Now, we will see the same 100, 150 odd people most days. Over the last few weeks, we've had the beach closed down here. The loss of these restaurants, these bars, these essentially, they're the getaway. Just talking to people, it's just not that same sprightly, bubbly group of people coming through at the moment. The restrictions that have been placed on us as a community has had a direct impact on everyone we talk to that are still coming through each morning to grab their coffee and then they're getting moved on. We've felt that everyone coming through, there's just a different kind of feeling. It's also for us, we're hospitality people. We like looking after people. We're giving them a bag of food, we're giving them a takeaway coffee and sending them on their way. Now for us, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like we're doing what we should be doing. We're talking to some of our regulars and we're giving them their box of food and their coffee, and it was kind of like, well, what do we do now? Do we walk you to your car? Do you want us to walk you home? Like, we didn't know where it ended, because for us, it wasn't looking after someone, giving them something and sending them on their way. As a business owner and a sole business owner, it's difficult, something like this. You don't have a few people to kind of sit down around the table and go, okay, what's our approach? What's happening? What are we going to do together? It's very much you're in your own head. Now, that is a difficult thing to go through with something like this, that there is no map. There is no previous experience around this. Spending time in your head trying to work out how best to approach it, and to try to understand the fact that, hey, your business is just closed. You were confident over here when you're open. You've had a good year, but what's it like when you close and you don't have any income, and you've got your staff coming to you saying, hey, what am I meant to do? What's the plan of attack? When am I coming back in? And you've got the influence of 20 staff going, hey, this is really bad. And you're going, well, yeah, this business is really bad, but trying to go support them and work out what you're doing with the business. And now the impact of COVID-19 on the business was pretty dramatic, and it was very, very quick. For us as a business, we closed our doors for a few weeks while we kind of worked out exactly what was happening. Now, everything was changing at such a rapid pace that it was hard to keep up. Originally going into when it first kind of came to Australia, we started to slow down, and our approach to it was we were never going to close the doors until we were told to. That kind of happened a couple of weeks into it first coming over to Australia, and we're still kind of finding our way as a business as a result of it. I was really unsure of what was going to happen in the next month. We didn't know if we could do takeaway and delivery, whether that line of income was going to stop. We went into the first restrictions, holding as many staff as possible, finding as many jobs for them as possible, whether it was delivery driving, we were building tables, we were doing everything around the venue we never had a chance to. We've been painting, we've been cleaning, you name it, we've done it over this time. Everything we wanted to do for the last 6 months. So we've found ways to keep as many of us here as possible. That after that first month, unfortunately, we did lose a lot of our staff. We got a lot back on JobKeeper, which was amazing, and we brought some of our casuals back as well. So we're still all on Messenger talking to one another and making sure everyone's good, and we've got a lot of our staff back as of this week, which is really good now that everything's slightly less restricted, but also we're starting to pick up. As a business, we're getting busier, which is great. But the first month or so was brutal. So the initial response was very much, okay, well, this is what we're dealing with. There's no way to get around it. We need a response. So for me, it was just digesting that information as quickly as possible and coming up with a solution that can start to get the wheels back in motion. And I think one thing I've always got told is keep moving forward in any way. You have to be doing that little thing that puts you in the right direction again. Little thing, and hopefully enough little things then become a big thing. So for me, it was digesting and just making small steps forward under the restrictions. and trying to get going again. Now, the business operations have had a huge change. So we're obviously a takeaway delivery joint like everyone else, but our approach to it was different. So for me, it was never the short-term fix. It was the understanding that this is going to be a while, and even on the other side of this, there is going to be a changing consumer behavior massively. So with that understanding, it was finding a solution that'll work for quite some time without hurting what we've already spent 12 months trying to build up. So we rebranded. We went Beach House by Corretto. So it's still by the team by Corretto. Everyone knows hopefully what Corretto is around the area. But we wanted to change the offering and allow ourselves the opportunity to do something that we wouldn't necessarily do through Corretto DY. So the rebranding would also add some excitement to the area by understanding it's going to be a new offering. It's going to be by the team that has hopefully looked after them a few times, but it would create that talking point and it would create that buzz and hype around the brand again, that people within the area go, oh, what are they doing? What's Beach House? What is this new place? Now, when we talk about the devastation of what COVID did to the business, now we went from 100% capacity to about 10% turnover within a couple of weeks. Mindset going into it was that, okay, well, we will find a solution. There will be steps forward. It was never a matter of, okay, we're gonna have to close. This will be us it. I think a few people that I talked to, the first thought was, are we gonna make it through? I think understanding that you have control over everything within your space. Now, obviously we don't have control of what's happening outside of it, but within this space there is always an ability to have your mindset set on, okay, finding a solution. Now, if you're looking towards, okay, well, reasons why something might not work, or reasons that are going to be detrimental to your space, well, I think you're directing your attention to the negative side of something. Now, for us, it was going, okay, well, what's the solution? How do we build on this? How do we use this as an opportunity to take this really negative, bad thing that is killing our business and give it an opportunity? So for us, it was rebranding, but using or testing out ideas and making things in the kitchen we would have never made, that we couldn't serve on a plate because it wouldn't have that Corretto DY essence to it. So we were making croquettes and arancini balls and fun things that were takeaway and delivery and stuff that people wanted that we would never have done before. We were doing drinks in the takeaway bottles, but how do you make a beautiful drink that is usually in a perfectly selected glass with perfectly cut ice and the garnish that makes it beautiful? How do you make a really good drink in a bottle? Well, it gets your brain thinking differently and laterally. So for us, it was thinking differently and allowing us that creative outlet to try ideas that we would have never done with Corretto DY. It challenged us. And now that we're not necessarily on the other side, there's still a long way to go, but now that we can look back and see what we've done as a business and what we've been able to offer and what we've now rebuilt within this space has been because we looked at it as a challenge, and we've come to the other side of it and we're quite confident in what we're selling at the moment. It's really cool. Like some of the stuff that we're doing, it's really cool. You know, people walk into the space and they see these shirts and they see these hats and they see these cups and everything that we're trying to sell, and they go, oh, there's apparel everywhere. It's just our stuff that we're now selling as apparel that people walk down the road. And the coolest thing is the challenge that it has given us has allowed us more opportunity than ever to get our brand out there as well. Stuff like selling these staff shirts that people are walking down the road with, that to us has been a really cool opportunity. But we always wanted to be that heart of the community. That was really, really important to us. So the locals and regular guests that we would have coming through, they saw that we did something different, and I think the appreciation and the support that they've given the new branding and the space in general, you couldn't have asked for a better group or a better location to have something like this because they have banded together to help us as much as we've banded together to help each other. As much as they're looking after here, we're hopefully looking after them. So again, it comes back to this real aspect of we wanted to be a hub where people would get really looked after. So yeah, they've looked after us really, really well. I think COVID, if anything, hasn't amplified the stress. It has allowed us the opportunity to come together. If anything, I think we're having a joke about it this morning actually. It's been less stressful during this time than it has been in the last 18 months of work. I think what COVID did was allow us the different perspective on what stress is within this environment. We all started to focus on, hey, we need to look after each other. We need to make sure that this virus isn't going to come into our bubble. So your focus and attention isn't on the day-to-day nothing stress. Now I look back at it, like the cocktail shakers being a particular way on the bar, or that it wasn't perfectly clean the night before. That's not a stress anymore. And that's something that would just bang. We would all feel it. We'd all go on edge because something wasn't done the night before, and we'd get angry coming in the morning. That's not a stress anymore because we realize there's this other thing over here that has drawn our attention. So by reevaluating what actually a stress is around the space, if anything, COVID's given us that perspective of don't worry about that stuff. Don't worry about little things around the space. There's bigger things in life, and it gave us a bigger picture view on this little bar. I think it's important that we do take a few things out from what we've learned at the start of this to see where we can better manage it next time. Pray to God there's not a next time, but if something like this did happen again, there's some things, look after your staff. I think if you look at places that have just closed up shop, said goodbye to your staff, paid them out, got them off their books to cover their business, their asses, that's been a big thing I think is going to be looked back at as you didn't make an effort to look after those who have looked after your business when they're running. I think the conversation at the start of some of the places that, and some of the business owners that are going, be careful, make sure that close up quick, get everything off your books, make sure that your business isn't going down. I think that was the wrong approach. We need to be looking after our staff as they looked after our venues when they were all open. Now, looking towards the future as a business, now we're slowly coming out of the restrictions here in Sydney, Australia. So we are allowed to seat some people now, which is really cool. And I feel these restrictions are going to be quickly lifted, but consumer behaviour, that's going to be a really, really long process to get people confident coming back into public space and dining out again and spending money. What we've got to remember that just because there's no restrictions anymore, when the restrictions do get lifted, people aren't going to be the same on the other side of this. People have changed the way that they interact within the community. So I think us as a business, the opportunity is doing the takeaway and delivery stuff and being able to look after guests at home and challenging ourselves to say, hey, you know what? We're going to do a takeaway delivery thing, but how can we make that the best takeaway delivery thing? How can we make it the best home experience? So that's going to be a continued challenge for us. And it's something we're going to continue to do as a business. So we're going to maintain that Beach House by Corretto feel for at home. And I cannot wait to bring back Corretto DY, properly look after people in the space. Now, our group of staff, bringing the last few pieces of the puzzle back of that will be amazing, but getting people back into this space and looking after them again, that's something that we look forward to big time.